Imagine a man who killed 67 people, not for money or revenge, but simply for pleasure. This is Yang Xinhai. Yang Xinhai, the monster who terrorized a nation. In the annals of true crime, some stories are so terrifying that they seem lifted straight from the realm of fiction. These tales recount individuals who cross the abyss between humanity and depravity, leaving behind trails of suffering and horror that are hard to fathom. Today, we delve into one of these horrifying stories, a real-life nightmare that unfolded across the vast rural landscapes of China. This is the chilling tale of Yang Xinhai, a name that became synonymous with fear and indescribable brutality. Over the course of 4 years, he killed more people than almost any other serial killer in modern Chinese history. His crimes were not committed for wealth or fame, but driven by a twisted and unfathomable sense of personal satisfaction. Who was this man, and how did an apparently ordinary life transform into a reign of terror that gripped an entire nation? Seeds of Darkness. Yang Xinhai's story begins in 1968 in a humble village in China's Henan province. He was born into a poor family, and his childhood was marked by struggle and a profound sense of loneliness, leaving him with no sense of security. He was an intelligent child, but his intellect only served to navigate a harsh world, and it was natural for him to retreat into himself. The world seemed to pass him by while he withdrew into his private realm, a world where brutality quietly took root. He left school at an early age, unable to continue his education due to severe financial hardships. To survive, he took on simple jobs, laboring tirelessly in fields and construction sites, witnessing early on the harshness of life and human cruelty. On the surface, he was just another face in the crowd, one of countless young people seeking their daily bread in rural China. But beneath this ordinary exterior, something dark was growing. In his late teens and 20s, Yang's frustrations manifested in petty crimes, minor thefts that were a silent defiance against a world he felt had betrayed him. His criminal life gradually escalated, and in 1988, he was arrested for theft and sent to prison. This was not a moment of rehabilitation, but a turning point. The years behind bars transformed his resentment into deep-seated hatred. In prison, surrounded by criminals, he learned cruelty, discovering how to dominate others and turn pain into a tool for satisfying his suppressed desires. Upon his release in 1991, he was no longer the same young man who entered prison. He was now a mere shadow of his former self, consumed by a simmering rage. He tried to find his footing in society, but felt detached, like an observer from the outside, belonging only to the shadowy world developing within him. The seeds of violence, planted in a life of hardship and nurtured in the harsh environment of prison, were ready to bloom. After several failed attempts at normal life, he committed a horrific act in 1996, setting him on an irreversible path. Though not meticulously planned, this crime was enough to erase any remnants of his humanity.
Reign of Terror. Yang's transformation into a serial killer was not a sudden eruption of madness, but a calculated and deliberate evolution, born from years of frustration and suppressed rage. He did not hunt his victims in crowded cities. He preyed on the vulnerable, those living in isolation, far from the eyes of police and society. He focused on remote rural villages in Henan, Hebei, Anhui, and Shandong provinces, where a single scream could go unheard. His methods were as cold-blooded as they were relentless. He struck at night, usually between midnight and 3 in the morning, when his victims were most vulnerable in their sleep. Using simple yet lethal tools, a hammer, an axe, or a spade, his primary goal was murder. He would enter homes and kill everyone inside, men, women, and even children, without mercy. After the killings, he sexually assaulted the women, indicating that his motives went beyond murder, driven by a dark need for power and control over life itself. For years, the crimes remained unsolved, Local police forces were overstretched and understaffed. The crimes spanned several provinces, with each department treating cases as isolated incidents, unaware they were hunting a single methodical killer. Yang moved like a ghost, traveling from place to place on a bicycle, a simple mode of transport that left no trace and allowed him to vanish into the countryside as quickly as he appeared. He would travel for hours to find his next target, demonstrating a terrifying dedication to his gruesome craft. The body count rose at a horrifying pace, as though a monster had been unleashed. In one province, he killed a family of 5 in a single night, then moved on to commit a similar crime elsewhere. There was no clear pattern, making the police task nearly impossible. He operated in darkness, like a predator, selecting its prey with meticulous care, indifferent to consequences. Fear spread through rural communities like wildfire. Rumors of a ghost-like killer circulated, a mysterious figure who brought nothing but death. Families began locking their doors with multiple locks. Some fled their homes at night to sleep in barns or fields, hoping to escape the unknown monster. People lived in constant terror, dreading that their homes might be the next target, catching the ghost. The manhunt intensified in 2003. With the growing number of victims and nationwide panic, law enforcement agencies finally began to connect the dots. Forensic investigators exchanged evidence from different provinces, revealing a pattern. All victims were from poor rural households. The weapon used was always a blunt object, and the killer entered through unlocked doors or windows. Yang, however, always remained a step ahead, a cunning adversary who seemed to vanish into thin air after each attack. But even the most careful monsters make mistakes. On November 3, 2003, in a small town in Henan, Yang Xinhai made his final error. He wasn't committing a murder. He was attempting to steal a bicycle. A local police officer noticed something off about his calm demeanor and unsettling gaze. He was detained on a minor charge. During initial questioning, Yang remained silent and unremarkable, a blank page, but police checking national databases discovered that his shoe size matched footprints found at a recent murder scene, and his fingerprints matched traces near another crime. When confronted with this evidence, Yang's calm facade collapsed. He confessed. His admissions were chillingly indifferent, shocking even the most experienced investigators. He recounted his crimes in gruesome detail, naming provinces and victims without any hint of remorse. When asked why he did it, his answer was simple and horrifying. He enjoyed it. He spoke of murder as a source of satisfaction, a way to unleash the hatred he felt toward a world he believed had betrayed him. Trial and legacy. Yang Xinhai's trial was brief. The evidence was overwhelming and his confessions undeniable. The sheer scale of his crimes, 67 murders and 23 sexual assaults, shocked China and the world. He was convicted and in 2004 sentenced to death. On February 14, 2004, the sentence was carried out, ending one of the most brutal killing sprees in modern history. Yang Xinhai remained an enigma. Unlike many serial killers, he was not driven by fame or recognition. He was a silent ghost who killed to satisfy a dark inner urge. His story forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth about the nature of evil. Was he the product of a harsh life, a man failed by society, or born with a predisposition to violence, a monster waiting for the right moment to strike? Psychologists and sociologists have offered various theories, but none fully explain the depth of his depravity. Yang was not a delusional man detached from reality. He was methodical, carefully selecting victims and covering his tracks. He chose to be evil, a chilling reminder that immense darkness can dwell within an ordinary human. Yang Xinhai's story remains a grim chapter in China's history, a stark warning about the terror one person can inflict. His legacy is one of fear, a ghost story whispered to this day in the villages he haunted. It is a cautionary tale, reminding us that darkness lurks in the shadows, and that vigilance is crucial against monsters who are not just myths, but can exist among us.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, drop a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next video. Your support keeps this channel growing, and I really appreciate it.